Hello, everyone. This is Janine, and tonight my guest is going to be Linus Spiller. He is an advisor, a student advisor at El Central College in Dallas, Texas. So I'm waiting for him to come on. He may be having technical difficulty, so I'm waiting for him. And I hope everybody's doing okay tonight. Let me find out where he is. Let me try calling him. Hold on 1 second. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let me send you another link, okay? Yeah. It's better to do on a laptop than your phone because it doesn't really like to work on the phone. Hi, whoever who just joined. I'm waiting for my guest to come on. We're having some technical difficulties, so just hang on, okay? So don't leave the chat. I'm just waiting for my guest to come on. Here you go.
Okay, I'm on. Thank you.
Okay,
Wait, let me get some place where there's more lighting.
better light. Did you cut your hair?
I did. My locks are gone.
Yeah, I see that.
That chair right there. Chair.
He often likes to be right in the middle of the battle. With me here in Florida tonight is CNN's Christian Holmes that's been reporting on the transition staffing battle that's
So who's ever just came on with us, we're just getting started, so you haven't missed anything. We're trying to get everything set up.
Okay, that's good.
Hey, now I can see you better. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I would like to welcome my guest. Oh, we got Buster up there. Okay. So I call you Linus because I've been knowing you forever. Probably about how many years have I been knowing you?
You're not going to date me like that. So,
Okay, I'm not gonna say how long I've been knowing this young man,
thank you.
but it has been a long time. We met in theater. We were both doing acting. We were both doing acting, and I think I met you at the Dallas Children's Theater. Is that correct?
No, it was at the Improv Comedy Club where we were doing Strictly Heavenly, directed by Akeem Babatunde.
Really? I know. I keep thinking I met you. That probably might have been the second time I saw you was at the Dallas
No, we
Children's
were in
Theater.
that thing. We were in the show together. We
Wow,
both played. We both played multiple roles in
wow. I
that
didn't
production
even.
by
I can't
Glenn
even.
Hughes.
Wow, wow. So, Linus, you are currently an educator. You
Mhm.
currently work as a
As
what
an
am I
academic advisor at the in the community college system here in Dallas, Texas.
right, right. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Tonight we are talking about the election of Donald Trump. Um, I did not watch the returns on the 5th. Did she watch the returns?
I watched them until about
Okay.
I watched them until about 1 in the morning when Cedric Richmond, who was one of her campaign advisors, hit the mic and stated that they were telling the entire campaign staff to go home. It was going to be a long night. Ballots were still being counted, And that's when I took my exit and went to bed. And, just in full disclaimer, I was not really feeling the election results because I had just gotten news that a very close friend of mine was killed in a car crash in
Mm,
Houston. So that kind of took more of my consciousness than this election. But when I
mm.
woke up the next morning and found out what happened, I was shocked but not surprised, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Okay, why weren't you surprised?
Because the political climate that we live in, and I have to say this also in full disclosure, I'm a Republican,
Hmm.
but I do not vote that way exclusively.
Hmm.
I look at it basically from a lot of different levels. One being a Black person in America.
Hmm.
Two, what opportunities our community and other communities of color and other sub demographics have. And then I make my vote based on what's best for all. And especially with the president, I don't care what political party you belong to, is what are you going to do for everybody overall? Does it make sense?
Hmm.
And, that's when we discovered that it was the economy that was the overdriving force that kind of dictated how people voted. It angered me because, and I'm going to tell you why.
Hmm.
We had a candidate in Trump who received a darn near perfect economy
Right.
from his predecessor, and all he had to do was work it, which he did.
Hmm.
And his predecessor inherited that economy that was in continual free fall. It was basically decimated when President Obama took it over and built it up from scratch.
Mm.
So you take that same economy and then the pandemic hits and you have a blueprint left by your predecessor because we knew that a pandemic was coming.
Yes,
You know
yes.
when it was going to hit, but we knew it was coming, and your predecessor laid a blueprint for how to handle this with experts in that field, in the medical field. And because your ego was so large and you wanted to make everybody think that you were the king, you were the emperor, you're going to take care of everybody's stuff, you decimated the economy that you take continual credit for. And then after all of this is said and done, and you have two new people that come in Biden and Harris, and they build it up,
Mm.
and everything is starting to move. The very last thing that needed to happen was prices being reduced, and we could see, where it was. And corporate interests, they were definitely price gouging. People act like it was not a real thing. It was a real thing. I keep samples in my house of products that I purchased before, and I'm gonna name one. It's when I dress my salad, I use a champagne vinaigrette. I will not name the manufacturer, but when I
Hmm.
did it, it was $2.99. That thing is five something now, and they
Wow.
used a glass container to put it in before at $2.99. Now
Now
they're
it's
using
plastic.
plastic, and it's
Hmm.
small. So
Mm.
price gouging is real. And that's one example that I have. So for everybody to be so tone deaf and to have this political amnesia and go, oh, prices are high and blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to elect, and I hate to say it like this idiot
Hmm.
that decimated it, but you're going to hand it back to him again. And it's something that somebody sent me a TikTok video where she and the sister was very emphatic in her words and how she wanted everybody to get what they deserve. But one thing stood out to me in her commentary where she said white males are allowed to fail up.
Mm.
We give them what they can fail, but all
Hmm.
the rest of us cannot. Harris came with a resume that only perhaps Hillary Clinton's
Hillary Clinton. Hmm.
rivaled,
Hmm.
yet neither one of them were good enough for the presidency.
Hmm.
But you have someone with failed businesses, six bankruptcies, and all of this stuff, but you still put him there. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't surprised. I
Mm-hmm.
was not surprised at all. We have in our communities, the brown communities, yellow communities, this huge gap of undereducation. If you look at the stats, the post data, those that were educated voted in their best interest
Mm-hmm.
and in the interest of the entire country. Those that don't understand how our political system works, beginning from the basic level, the lowest level, meaning your school board,
Mm-hmm.
your city council, your parish officers, your county, they don't understand it. They think that the presidency is the only election that they need to vote in,
Mm-hmm.
that somehow this person is going to be their messiah, figure,
Mm-hmm.
and going to make everything better. So they're very woefully undereducated, and Tuesday night proved that. So I
Yes.
was not surprised on Wednesday when I woke up and saw this.
Mm. Well,
I was disappointed, but
right.
it did not surprise me.
Well, my whole feeling was, like I said, I didn't watch because someone was telling me, I was like, okay, she is not going to win, because I thought back to Hillary Clinton,
Hmm.
and Hillary Clinton was very qualified.
Hmm.
Some would say, the best qualified candidate ever, but other,
Hmm.
Senate, in so and
More qualified than Barack Obama.
there you go.
Hmm.
So when I didn't see, and I told two of my friends, I said, I don't know that she was going to win.
Hmm.
I said, because Hillary didn't win. So when Hillary, but Hillary won the popular vote.
Hmm.
But we'll come back to that.
Yes, yes.
We'll definitely come back to that popular vote in the electoral college. But when she didn't win, and I say, okay, Hillary is a white woman,
Hmm.
and white women voted against her.
Hmm.
Because I remember my cousin's wife. She said, and my cousin uh, loves Trump. He votes for Trump,
Hmm.
and his wife at the time was white. And I said, "Are you going to vote for Hillary?" She said, "No, I'm going to vote the way my husband votes."
Hmm.
And I think a lot of white women do that. They vote the way their husband votes. I don't know what that's about. You have your own mind, so I don't know what that's about. But
Patriarchy.
mm, when this highly qualified Hillary Clinton didn't win, and I said, wait a minute. And I was like, I can't even watch the returns. I said, because I don't think she's going to win. And so the following day, I was very upset because I dressed up. I wore my suffrage white and everything, and went and voted. And I was feeling hopeful. I really was. It was kind of reminiscent to when Barack Obama ran for
Mhm.
me.
Absolutely.
I was having those types of feelings, and I said, wow, if this woman wins, this proves that America can get over its misogyny
Hmm.
and vote for a woman. But then I was wrong.
And see, I don't even think that it was misogyny played a part in it,
Hmm.
but I really believe that it was kitchen table issues. With the cost of everything, people renting and
Right,
people
right.
unable to, So I thought that that was more of a factor because
Mhm,
um, Harris really put out
she
some
mhm,
proposals that would help alleviate that. How
mhm,
many people, we know how hard home ownership is, especially for communities of color, that $25,000 will go towards your down payment based on the amount of the house that you purchased. For some people, that would have been their down payment and they would have been in a home,
mhm,
paying payments that are reasonable instead of these high rents. Like here in Dallas, you can't get a one-bedroom apartment under $1,900, $2,000. Your
mm,
mortgage is not going to be that much, not
mm,
nowhere close to that number. So that was a kitchen table issue that
mhm,
I thought, if enacted, would really help to not only strengthen the middle class, but pull people from the lower class up into that, because then they, that's their investment. That's
Mm-hmm.
their American dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that shows that you're vested in this country. So that was one thing. Now, for minorities in particular, because we don't always have access to capital and all of this stuff, the $50,000 in forgivable loans, that should have been another thing. So I thought that that was an excellent policy, um, proposal. But apparently, it wasn't enough.
Mm-mm.
And you see, because here's the thing: when a person starts a new business, and I'm going to use what's popular in our community, restaurants. We
Mm-hmm.
feel that if we can cook Granny and Big Mama and Meemaw food and everybody else is going to like it, we're going to do fine. But most businesses, including those in the hospitality industry, they stop after 1 year. And that's because they don't have the access to capital to get the equipment and everything else that they need.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a no-brainer
Mm-hmm.
for the Black community, especially. The Asian community, they have it on lock. They know how to
Yeah.
flow their money.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Hispanics, they have a built-in constituency that they don't have to shop at everybody else's place. They
Mm-hmm.
have their own grocery stores. They have their own automobiles. They have everything that you need to live basically, and they support their own. But
Mm-hmm.
for us, that should have been a very visible sign, and we did not heed it. And you had a lot of people that sat at home. You had Black men that did feed into the misogyny, even though people will say, don't blame Black men for the loss. And to a degree, I agree with them, because our percentages were higher than other groups, but they were still woefully lower than they should have been.
Mm-hmm.
For the Democratic Party to win. But this thing was like a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks that this was a good thing. But I predict by third quarter next year, people are going to have buyer's remorse when they see what this actually looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When the Department of Education is decimated. And now here in Texas, school vouchers are getting ready to flow through there very quickly, as the governor has been trying to do, which means money will be pulled from public schools.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I taught. You're going to have classrooms that are going to have 50 to 60 kids in there with one teacher, and teachers are leaving the profession in droves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're going back to second class citizenship that we had pre 1955.
Mm. What do you say to those? Because this is a comment that I've been hearing. What did you say to those people who say, well, none of this is really going to affect me. I don't really care as long as they don't touch my social security or my Medicare. I don't really these I've talked to people. Two people said that to me today. I don't really care unless they don't, as long as he leaves my social security and my Medicare alone, I don't care. What do you say to people who say stuff like that?
Oh, just perfect. Because I've been talking about this for a couple since the election. For
Mm-hmm.
people that say that, the AARP group, of which I've been a member for a long minute, they're getting ready to see it. A lot of people that are getting Social Security, that are qualifying for Medicare, they're going to push those ages up, because
Mm-hmm.
people are living longer.
Longer. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's not going to be inconceivable that they're going to request that people work until they're 70
70.
through
Mm-hmm.
75. And
Wow.
then once you start collecting, you're going to drop dead, and you never had a chance to use the money that you put into it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the majority of people that receive Social Security funds. Now, for me, I'm one of those that say, I don't care. And it sounds selfish, but here's the reason that I say I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married. Between the two of us, we have two homes that are paid for.
Mm-hmm.
We're not paying rent. Rent accounts for 30 to 40% of a person's income.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We've got retirement funds from multiple sources that are not Social Security related. So we're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We're from the upper Midwest. We know how to hustle. We're gonna make stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm setting up a system right now in Michigan where I'm taking one home and getting ready to expand it and tap into guaranteed government money for veterans
Mm-hmm.
for housing. So I'm going to have residual income coming in.
Right.
So I'm not worried about me. So when I say I don't care, it's because I have prepared for post retirement in 2 years and 10 months. And yes, I am counting.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else doesn't have it like that. Also between the two of us, we each have 3 insurance pockets between us. 3.
Mm-hmm.
Most people either don't have it or they barely have one.
Right.
I'm gonna be able to go to the doctor if something happens. I can say, I want you to use this insurance for this. I want you to use this insurance for this, and I want you to use my Humana military for my prescriptions because I pay either nothing out of pocket or less than $2 for my medications.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
this
for
is the.
me, it's okay, but for everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
y'all have to figure it out because you made the choice that created this situation. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds harsh, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. And you're going to have to figure it out by hook or by crook. And that crook is going to be hard and it's going to pop people in their ass. Pardon my French.
Now, this was my thinking because I did say something to one of the people who told me they didn't care, and I said when they start taking your mother's, was it for older people Medicare?
Mm-hmm.
I said when they start taking your mother's Medicare, because he's
Mm-hmm.
planning on doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and Social Security, you're going to care. And I said me myself, I have a elderly parent. And I said, and then also I have a niece.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so God forbid something happens, she needs she miscarries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of Texas, they can't do, if you're miscarrying and you go to doctors, they're not going to do anything
There's
about
no
it.
help. There's
There's
no help.
no help. I think I heard that there was a Black woman here in the state of Texas. Her husband took her to the doctor. She's miscarrying and she died in the parking lot.
Last week.
Yes. So I told my friend, you have a niece. You got to think about, I mean, she's young right now, but eventually she's going to grow up. You got to think about, yeah, people think about themselves first, but you have family members.
That's right.
Do you want something to happen to your niece? Something medical like that happen. Do you want that to happen to your niece? I, for one, do not. And then also as a Black woman, a Black person, he wants to bring back stop and frisk.
Absolutely.
I have a nephew.
Mm-hmm.
So my nephew could just be walking and here come the police. They don't need a reason. There's no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you can just harass Black men, Black women, Latinos, because that's who the target is. People, brown people, you can just stop us and harass us.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say they don't care, they don't really understand what's going on. They have no concept. They're living in their own little world, but they're not understanding the consequences. They don't understand, because especially for somebody like my cousin who votes for Trump, he has a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just thinking, I want these Spanish people out of here because they're taking our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not thinking, I have a daughter, I have a son, and they look Black, even though they're biracial. The police aren't going to say, get your biracial butt out the car. That's not what they're going to say. They're going on how you appear.
Mm-hmm.
You are, even though your mother is not Black,
Mm-hmm.
you look Black, or you look at least Latino. You have brown skin. Not thinking about, how does this affect my daughter in case something happens medically.
Mm-hmm.
In California, they'll be okay. So they'll be all right.
But see, with me and the not caring, because I've like where you mentioned the family members and that tie, that dynamic has been playing out in my family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Situation with a granddaughter that now is looking at this and was like, where do I vote? How can I vote? And I said, I sent you a voter's registration card 3 years ago. Did you
Mm,
not fill it out? Well, no, I just did it today. Well, you can't vote in this election, but you can vote in future elections. But now you're looking at a situation where if something happens to you, the without even getting into it, but something can happen and you could face the loss of your life. My
exactly.
stepson voted for Trump,
Wow. Hmm.
but
Wow.
my son did not, because my son's union and said, no, my job is tied into me being able to work and care for my wife and my 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
So people have choices that they make, and they rightfully can make those choices. But once you make that choice, you got to live with the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent of the choices you made. And me feeling sorry for you, or caring, that's not my obligation, because you made your choice as a full-fledged adult, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to live with those consequences. That's
Mm-hmm.
not on me. My stuff is together. Now,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't want for you more than you want for yourself if you don't understand it. Now, going back to the stop and frisk, and then you also touched on the Latino thing, the stop and frisk, that's going to be real.
Yeah.
As you stated, it's going to be very real. And what Black men in particular, because we are the majority in prison systems,
Mm-hmm.
we do not realize that and I'm going to use Texas as the backdrop, but then talk about how it's going to how it's going to migrate across the South. Okay, once Donald Trump is inaugurated and takes the oath, he's going after that Department of Justice so that it works for him.
Him. Right. Mm-hmm.
And then when you see policies like that happen in Texas, they'll be able to do whatever they want. The 13th Amendment freed us, but the 14th Amendment allowed those that were in ownership, or of different peoples or their former slaves, to state that if you had a debt that you had to pay back to those that owned you, that you had to pay that. That gave rise to the prison complex that we deal with right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that it's all, I'm going to be fine, da 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 da. No, you're going to be caught up in that system, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And then once this mass deportation starts, and with Texas, it's going to be easy because, as you stated, they can look at you and say, I think you're Latino. And we're not going to make the mistake we made the last time where we separated children from their families.
They're
We're
shipping everybody.
and all of y'all got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And other states across the South are going to look at what Texas did and say, oh, that worked there. We're going to do it in our state. And their legislatures are Republican, and they will do the same thing. It will be copycat legislation. And you're going to see all of these people moved, but the work still needs to be done that these people used to
Mm-hmm.
provide. So who do you think is going to have to provide that labor? And think about the 14th Amendment. It's going to be us.
Mm-hmm.
So slavery's coming back. It'll
Okay.
be legalized slavery, but it's
Mm-hmm.
coming back
In what form do you think that's going to happen?
through the prison complex. You like even right now, if you're in prison, they don't have to pay you for the labor that you do. You have a lot of prisoners that are working as contractors for different companies,
Mm,
making their products, doing customer service banks, and they're not getting enough to even pay for their commissary.
mm,
It's going to increase because you're no longer going to have Latinos who were basically doing that work that we felt we were too good to do.
mm-hmm.
So you're going to see that it's going to be widespread, and people are going to start crying out by third quarter next year. When they see that, you're going to see more police on Black brutality occur, and people wanting to do protests. But my thing is, you brought it on yourselves, all
Mm-hmm.
because you feared a Black woman running
Mm-hmm.
this country.
Mm-hmm.
For Black men, they ought to be ashamed because they were birthed by and reared by Black women. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't think a Black woman can run this country, what does that say about your mama getting you from birth to where you are right now? What are
Mm-hmm.
you saying about her or your grandmother if it wasn't your mother or your auntie?
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge issue. And I think part of it is, as Black men, we model white masculinity, which is the very last thing that we should do. We shouldn't have to look at somebody like a Trump
Mm-hmm.
for what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine. But that's what we do. We think that if we do what they do, we're going to get what they have. That's not going to happen. It hasn't happened in 404 years and counting.
Mm-hmm.
So, with me, I'm kind of even keeled. I haven't really lamented the loss of this election. Like I said, even though I'm on the other side, I have common sense. I look at the temperament of the leader, who they are, what their policies are, and then I vote. But I'm more concerned about local elections. And we as a
Exactly.
people, we don't even vote in local
Oh,
elections, yet we
right.
talk about the education our kids get.
Exactly.
So,
Yes, because a lot of people think it's just you vote for president, but what about your city council?
mhm. Or
What
your
about,
school board.
yeah, school? What
I've
about?
run for school board twice and lost
Mhm,
both times. Ran for city council 3 times,
mhm,
lost all 3 times.
mhm,
But then when stuff starts happening, you're complaining about, well, this ain't happening. This ain't happening. It's because you voted for vipers and snakes,
mhm,
because your brain was not developed to understand how this system works.
mhm.
So when I say I don't care, at 60, I honestly do not care, because there's only so much education that I can do. And at a
Mhm,
certain point, it's like a bought lesson is the best lesson. You got to figure that ish out on your own.
mhm, mhm.
I've spent my entire work career working in our community and don't have anything to show
Go
for it.
for
And
it. Mhm,
Tuesday was the prime example of that. So why am
mhm,
I giving of me?
mhm.
You're going to do what you want to do anyway.
Right.
Brothers walking around with pants sagging down to the knees, the females with tattoos hanging down the breasts, all, hitting the ankles with all of this and all, and $300 bundle of hair, but you screaming about what you don't have,
Mhm,
but yet I'm supposed to feel sorry for you
mhm,
when I'm doing it the proper way. No,
mhm,
absolutely not. No more.
mhm.
It used to be a concern of mine, but I know this is a different side of Linus, the Linus that but that's just where I
No,
am.
I understand when you reach a certain age,
Hmm.
you know, when you reach a certain age, you're like, why am I killing myself for other
Hmm.
people who don't care?
Yeah, because I can't care for you more than you care for you.
Exactly. So I understand where you're coming from. I had this very conversation.
Hmm.
So I get what you're saying. So let's go back and let's talk about the electoral college, because a lot of people
Hmm.
don't know what it is
Hmm.
and don't know why we have it. So I'm gonna let you break that down.
Okay. The Electoral College, and I'm going to say it, put it in these terms. I understand it,
Mm-hmm.
where based on a state's population, you are apportioned a certain amount of electoral votes. So a state like Nebraska isn't going to have what California or New York or Texas has, because we have more residents. So I get that. So they did it in the beginning to make the system fair, so that the larger states didn't basically run or set the tone for how the country was run. So that's the theory.
Right, right.
That's
This
the theory.
theory,
But
right.
right now, I don't believe that it is necessary. We should do as other countries do, popular vote. Because if we are the United States of America, then there should be no separation.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever candidate runs, I don't care if you're in a smaller state, a mid-sized state, or like you're Missouri, mine was Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
When we put all of those votes into the pot,
Mm-hmm.
whoever comes out with the most votes, popular votes,
Mm-hmm.
that's the person that wins. And everybody else just has to get with it. If you don't like it, move to California, move to New York, move to Texas, do whatever you want to do. But we should not be doing We shouldn't have that type of election system, because like even on Tuesday, it drove everybody crazy, because when you're looking at the returns, if anybody like me who follows this, we know that the majority of those southern states are going to report first. So you're going to see like this red wave come,
Mm-hmm.
because they close faster. They don't have the girth of land territory as your larger states have. So they can get their election returns in very quickly. So that's why you saw that, and people were like losing their mind by 10 o'clock, going, well, why isn't this like this? Where's California? Where's the, and it's like, no, because we're in different time zones, the votes are going to come in accordingly. So again, that's ignorance about how our system works. So, and that's, you see those electoral votes, starting to round up, and you get nervous. My thing is, if we just had a popular vote, none of that would even matter, because we wouldn't care if you only have 3 electoral votes for your state, or if you only have 5, and you see them accumulate. We're looking at the popular vote,
Mm-hmm.
and the top vote winner wins. I don't even think that she won the popular vote, because again, I
Oh,
haven't.
well, that's what I heard, that she did not even win the popular vote.
Yeah,
So like she really lost,
yeah.
like Hillary, who
Unlike Hillary, where Hillary had 3 million plus.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I think that right now we're at a point in our country where we no longer have to be. We were infants in the beginning, then children, then teenagers. We need to grow up, and the electoral college is not. It's obsolete, and not because of who wins and who doesn't win. We are the United States of America. We're not the states of America.
Mm-hmm.
So the systems should be uniform. I support election uniformity across all states, because you have some states that don't even offer early voting.
They don't.
And I think that everybody should have early voting. It should be the same time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have access to mail-in ballots. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have all of our expatriates that are still able to vote. All of that needs to be uniform, how that happens. The polls based on your time zone all need to operate at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
the same 12-hour period. So if it starts at 7 Eastern Standard Time, up in New York, in Texas, it needs to be 7 Central Standard Time, our time zone.
Mm-hmm.
Everything needs to be uniform, but we don't want to do that. So now we're just the states of America.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the United States. And we care more about party politics and power than
Mm-hmm.
we do what is fair. I believe that on election day, that should be a mandatory holiday where everyone is off and you vote. You produce your sticker or whatever else it is. If you did not vote, you don't get that day off. So that little that holiday time, you don't get it, because we're not going to let you just get off and you do not participate in the democracy.
So, what do you think is our path forward after this?
That's a question,
That is a question, but
because I think that there's going to be an uprising like it was in 2020, when people saw that it wasn't going their way, and it's going to go back to the Democrats. But in 2028, even though I'm trying to figure out who they would run other than Harris, because the Democrats don't even have a really good talent pool, and neither do the Republicans.
mm.
Because you have crazy on one side and people that are unrelatable on the other side. So where's the talent pool?
Let's go back to finish. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish what you were
Oh
saying.
no, I'm done.
Okay, well, reiterate, because I interrupted you. You said it was crazy and unrelatable on the other side.
Crazy on the Republican side, unrelatable on the Democratic side. The Democratic Party has more or less morphed into how Republicans reach or try to reach and engage voters. It's all about money. I cannot tell you how many times I had to type in stop, stop, stop from everybody in the union asking me for money, and I live in Texas. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't even live in your state. So everything is about how much ad time can I buy, instead of how many doors can I knock on, how many people can I call, can I go out to a community and set up a table in the library, in front of the library, in front of grocery stores to engage people. Everything is money, 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 money. Who raises the most money? Kamala Harris blew everybody out the water fundraising, but did not win. So that shows you in and of itself that the whole fundraising tip, that don't work. You have got to meet people where they are, look them in the eye, talk to them, and earn their vote. And you have to start that early. You can't wait until an election year. But the Republican Party is so out of touch, and I don't know when that time is going to happen where the party is in the position where they don't have the presidency, they don't have the House, and they don't have the Senate. I thought it was going to happen this time, but obviously that did not happen. So once that happens, then that's when they're going to be less crazy and go, listen, we got to galvanize this. This is not working because we don't have any power anymore. But I don't know when that's going to happen or if it's going to happen, because then you have voters on the other side that are not engaged. Because the Democratic Party is not relatable to them anymore.
Okay. And why do you think the Democrats are not relatable anymore?
Because they're functioning in a corporate manner. They're not meeting you face to face. It's just, how much money can you give me? We got this person up. Well, we didn't vet that person. We don't know who it is what these voters are saying. So who is this? Why should I do this? And then that's why you have people that want to sit home. One thing I'm going to give Obama had such a broad coalition of people from so many different pockets, including Anglos, that you were excited, you were hopeful. He created buzz around this. He stood up. You felt that there was something there. Even if he never spoke to you directly, you felt like he was communicating to you one-on-one. That's why he won the way that he did. He had less votes in 2012, but he still won sizably. But right now, the Democratic Party has turned corporate, just like it's like both of them tried to meet in the middle and say who can outdo each other, and that doesn't work. There has to be a contrast that goes beyond message. And the Dems don't have it, and then the Republicans are masters at fear mongering and scaring people, and that's what won in the end.
I think, I know people say it was economics, but I still think it's because I keep going back to Hillary. I still believe it's because she's a woman.
But the Hillary campaign was very, very different, because you had, whereas this time Russian interest and other Chinese, they weren't able to penetrate the Harris campaign like they did Hillary. Hillary got hit internationally from everybody with bots here, feeding all of this misinformation. And then that started to create this perception of her. And I said, how is that the case when she was voted Times most, best woman, or most enigmatic, or however you say the word, woman, like 15 times in a row? And then all of a sudden, she's the wicked witch of the West.
Right.
How does that happen? So that misinformation campaign was huge. And then her and them doing child sacrifice, eating babies. And again, you got people that are so undereducated, and that's all they had to cling to. And they wanted to be a part of this process despite their being uneducated. That's all that they could float for. So every story that was out there, they bought. I could look at the stories and see right through them because I'm a trained journalist. So I could see what is reputable and what is not. But you have that there. I even had it in my own family where people were buying this. And I'm like, okay, here's this, this, and this. Why are you believing this? Well, no, that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. So again, I don't care. Because if you're going to be that ignorant, whatever happens to you, happens to you. Because the information is there. We literally walk around 24/7 with a computer in our hands known as our cell phones.
Right.
And if you want the information is there, and you really don't have to dig far. You're going to see that before you see the unreputable sources that are out there. But
Mm-hmm.
you are going to gravitate to something that's going to feed into what you think is based on the knowledge that you do not have. So you're going to look at that and go, okay, I read that. I can understand that. And that's what I'm going to go to, even though you have data and all of this information at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
but you refuse to buy into it. So I don't, the misogyny was one thing, but for Harris, I don't think it played as big a part as it did for Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more economics for Harris.
So you think she did not talk enough about economics, or
No,
what?
she did her thing, but you have to also look at the fact that she got into this race like 100 days ago.
Yeah, she
And
didn't really.
Biden shouldn't have signaled that he was running again. There should have been at that point, I'm not running again, and allowing a regular primary to take place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she still would have won. Harris would have still won the primary because the strength of Black women within the Democratic Party, they would have tore that thing down. So she would have still got it, but she would have had more time to really articulate her message, her policy proposals, because she had to come up with those in record time and
Mm-hmm.
still keep a schedule, try to hit this place. And then also, she didn't hit every place. She stayed primarily in the blue wave states.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me because it said, why not go to a Utah? Why not go to these places? But she had to maximize the time that she
She
had
had,
in the
right.
places where she knew she had to get votes. So she didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the luxury of starting 2 years ago saying, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to run for president, declaring, filing with the FCC, do her thing. She didn't have that. So she had to put it together in record time. And I think that she did an excellent job. She didn't do
Yeah.
anything wrong.
No, I don't. I don't feel that she did either. A lot of people, oh,
Mhm.
what did Harris do wrong? I don't see
Mm-mm.
that she did anything wrong.
And there are people that are trying to say that, but then I still go back to when did she start? We know Trump was running. We knew he was running again, but
Yeah.
she did not have that amount of time. So to
Mm-hmm.
try to throw that in her face, I think that that's being very disingenuous. She
Mm-hmm.
did everything that she could, and she had to repeat what she was saying because you're hitting different people, and everybody may not be tapped into media. So for them, that was the first time that they were hearing
Mm-hmm.
about her policy proposals, how she felt about democracy, the threat that Trump was, all of this stuff. And, packing out arenas like nobody's business. But
Mm-hmm.
you had different elements that came forth, like the Israel and Palestine conflict was one. The Russia and Ukraine deal was another. The Black men feeling that she locks up Black men, which was completely off path. She was one of the most progressive DAs in the country and one of the architects for the reform courts that we see that are used now nationwide because they're more cost efficient because it costs less to help somebody get their GED, get them off drugs with rehab and drugs and alcohol, and then give them a trade. It's a lot easier than to house them in penitentiaries.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then what she was doing on top of that, if you go through that, your cases were expunged. So you basically got a clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
Her and our Dallas County District Attorney, John Cruzo, were two of the primary architects of the reform movement. So, and then when it was researched, how many Black men did she actually lock up? Because they were like, it was thousands and millions, all this stuff, 64 total, and not all of them were Black.
Wow.
So that was a lie that our community bought, but that's because we feel that we can do wrong and then get a slap on the hand and get out of jail free card, but you actually committed the crime. And she could have been like white DAs across the country, lock your Black behind up and let you spend your time without any chance for restorative justice.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have to do that for you because as an elected DA, she's elected to prosecute and convict. And she prosecuted and convicted, but she gave you a way out of that and cleaned the slate so that you could go back into your community and take care of your family with nothing on your record. And then that's how black men treated her. They spit in her face. They spit in her face. So like I said, when we start seeing this wave of cop on black stuff that's getting ready to happen, brought it on yourselves. Don't ask me to protest. Don't ask me if they died to donate money to a GoFundMe. And like the sister in the video I was telling you about earlier, you can't get the money, go in your backyard, dig a hole and drop them in there. And that sounds cold and cruel, but we have been in this country for too long to be this ignorant.
Right.
And I mean that. And I will tell any black person to their face this. And if they get upset, good. I got mine, get yours. You know better than I do what's best for you, do it.
Well, I don't want to end on a negative note.
It's not negative. I'm truth telling. I'm truth telling.
I know you are. I know you are.
I'm truth telling, because sometimes you have to, instead of sugarcoating stuff, you have to let people know what they are in for. And then, especially with us, well, I'm just going to pray about it. The Lord going to take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the Lord ain't helped your black behind in 404 years in this country. So let's see where your prayers get you when they done beat a knot on Tariq head.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see where your Lord is.
So, you're saying,
sorry.
So you're saying there's, what are we, okay, you're saying you don't see anybody in the near future that could run.
Other than Harris again, and possibly Hakeem Jeffries, and not saying that just because they're black, but because now people know who she is. And when stuff happens, and stuff is going to happen nationwide, especially with the economy, then they're going to go, oh, that one, actually what she said makes sense.
And but do you think she's going to want to run again?
She possibly could. Well, you never know. And then Hakeem Jeffries was, because we know that, well, they're still trying to figure out if the Dems are going to take the House or if they're going to lose it, as well as the Senate. So he may or may not be the Speaker of the House, but he has face recognition.
Exactly. I know
he could possibly win, and he would be seen as Obama-esque. And then he could run. But, you know, other ones, other than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
That's who I was looking at.
Yeah, I like Alexandria. I don't know if she would come out. And before, I would have said she could drive Latino vote. But with what we know is getting ready to happen, she ain't going to have no votes to drive. Because, you know, it's going to be going to be a number of people missing.
Well, let me say this. This is what I was talking about today with my sister. I could be wrong. I don't believe that he's going to deport all these people, because for the simple fact, who's going to take care of your little badass kids? If you deport Maria, oh, I love Maria. She's teaching our kids bilingual. She's making she just does everything. And
but see, those are going to be able to make it. We're talking about the people that are like working in the chicken factories, those that are picking produce or whatever. They're going to get rid of all those in a hurry.
I don't believe that. I don't. I believe he's going to get rid of some so he can say that he did it. But I really don't believe it's going to be. So this is just my belief. I'm not saying that it's true, but black folks are not going to be out there in the fields.
Yes, they are. Because they ain't going to have no choice. You do something wrong, you break the law, you sure going to be out there, and you ain't going to have nothing to say about it. And if you have a person that is so callous to separate children from their parents, this was the first time. What makes you think that he's not going to do this? And like he said, we're not going to separate families. All y'all got to go. Like they had a person on one of our local stations. She was a Latina woman married to a white man, has 2 daughters. and was pleading with the president, I've been here and I know I'm undocumented, but can you make an exception so that my family is not separated?
Mm.
And they're not going to care. And guess what? If that happens, I know that old hubby going to say, well, me and the girls is American citizens. And baby, you got to figure that stuff out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
He'll stay here with them. He ain't going to let them take him and his daughters nowhere. But she's going to be back on the other side of the border. So I honestly believe that this is going to happen. And I think that other states, southern states, are going to do copycat legislation, and they're going to do the same thing to send a message to satisfy their white constituents. I believe that, because they have no conscience and they have no souls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Mm. Well, we shall see what happens.
Pookie and them gonna be picking some peaches and some apples and stuff. Let me be real, and some collard greens and all that stuff for the packages. That Pookie and them will be doing that, whether they want it or not. You get caught with some weed or whatever, and they say it's more than the amount. This is the consequence. You mess up, you get more time. We're gonna tack more time. They're gonna be picking. They got all of these jobs out in the heat. They finna to learn today.
they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn today.
Horatia ain't gonna be able to buy them bundles of hair. She's gonna be out there with that nappy ass hair. Let's be real clear. No fingernails and no tarantula eyelashes and all that. Yeah, you're gonna be doing it raw, and you're gonna be picking some food.
Well, look, my hair is
out the chicken.
Look, my hair is raw, but I like it.
That's
like
cute
that.
though. But see that they ain't gonna have the benefit of throwing on that fake hair.
But there ain't nothing. Look, ain't nothing mine's fake. It's my little twist right here. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you see the meme that now the FBI is passing around? And I saw it earlier where somebody said, all of you executive Negroes, you need to report to the plantation at such and such a time. And it's going around. And now the FBI is investigating it as a potential hate crime because it hit a number of people. And then some white people offhandedly caught it. And then they said that they were offended or whatever. But that's just a sign of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And you had asked me a while back what's going to happen or what can happen. The only way that we can deal with this, I said, we're going to have another civil war. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it is going to happen. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but once people start rebelling, and it's not going to look like the North and the South thing, it's going to be completely different. And it's not going to be good.
In what way?
Because all of these cultural differences, they're pitting different cultures
against
and different constituencies against each other. And it's not going to be good. Because once everything starts to dry up, the cost of everything goes up so high that you cannot feed your family. You're going to be pointing the finger at the others. And we're going to have, and then white folks are going to try to sit up there and act like they're immune from it. You won't be immune from it this time. You're going to get, and I think, and you don't want to wish that on the country, and especially a country like this, that we're still in this great experiment, whether everybody believes that or not. But it was bound to happen. And it started not with, this person, because I'm like Whoopi Goldberg, I can't even call his name. It didn't start with that person. It didn't start with Obama. It started with Bush, the second Bush, the cultural wars based on the LGBTQ community. Then when Obama came in, then it turned black. Where they were like, well, they're bringing all of these issues, and why is everything about race and blah, 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 blah. So, Trump's election was based on that rebellion because white folks was tired of us. We was like, okay, we can comfortably talk about the issue of race in the country because we have a black president. And it wasn't solely to point a finger at them, is to say, hey, this is what we're feeling. This is what's going on. And they turned a tone. They went tone deaf on it, and they said, we're going to take this back. So that's how he got in the first time. But then when they saw how crazy that mofo was, they had buyer's remorse and said, we got to get rid of him. And then that's how Biden came in. And at the margin that he came in, he won with 8,000 million more votes because they were embarrassed. But then they got upset and not realize what the person had done to bring about these high prices. So they voted this person back in, and then it's getting ready to it hasn't peaked yet. And once it peaked, that's when it's going to be full-fledged out war. Everybody going to be about their own. People our age, there's like with you and I, it's not like that. We're not fearful, but this younger generation, they could care less. If they go out, badge of honor. Because they're gonna say we don't have anything to live for anyway. And it's gonna get rough. It's gonna get rough before it gets better.
Well, things usually do get rough before they get better.
Yeah. Darkness before the dawn.
But that's how, I mean, if you look at societies in general, you look how things go. And then a hyper society cannot continue to exist anyways. It can't. Eventually it implodes. And I'm saying like Rome. It eventually implodes. It implodes upon itself.
Yeah, because like even with the senior citizen demographic, do you all realize that everything that you work for is getting ready to come tumbling down? For the Black community, we just got set back 64 years now because of this election. For the Latino community that more or less rode our coattails along with white women who were the biggest beneficiaries of the civil rights legislation that happened in the 60s, they're getting ready to get it as well. And everybody's going to rebel within these next 4 years. And my thing is, let's have at it, because we have not peaked yet. And then once we peak, they're going to send those people unpacking.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and leave on that note.
This is the gospel according to Linus, the fifth chapter, verses 1 through 150.
Well, I think this is my my take is, I think it starts with your family, just making sure that everybody in, because my family has been talking a lot and checking on each other. We all check on each other. It's not just my immediate family. My immediate family, really, I have a small immediate family. There's not a whole bunch of us. So that's a quick couple of phone calls. But with my extended family in Missouri, I am not from Texas. I'm not a Texas person. My family is Midwest. They're Missouri, they're Chicago. And so I'm not a Southerner. We are Iowa.
We are a different animal.
Right. Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. We're Midwesterners. I am not a Southerner. I got stuck here. This was not a place I ever thought I would end up living, but I live here. But let it be known.
I'm still a Michigander, even though I'm here in Texas. I will always be upper Midwest, always.
Well, I call myself, even though I only lived in California for 3 years, I consider myself a Bay Area person.
Yeah.
Because every state has its problems. It does. But I just love California. I know people, it's the cost of living and all those foreigners, but all this and that. But for me, California was good.
Yeah.
For me personally, I came back to Texas to check on my parents. That's the whole reason I came back. And now I can't get out.
We can all get out. You just have to figure it out. But
that's what
I'll be spending a lot of time in Michigan rehabbing my house.
Mm.
Um, but I will not live there. For right now, it is Texas until I get my production company moving, and then I'll be in ATL a lot more. But yeah, this is where I'm.
I'm gonna be coming to help you out too in ATL.
Because I'm going to definitely need production, photography, director of photography, and all of that
Girl
stuff.
right here. This
I
girl
already
right
know. You already been recruited and you didn't even know it.
This one right. Look, this one right here. This
Yeah,
one
because
right
it's
here.
like it's time to start living out the dreams and start worrying about all of this other stuff that we've been talking about over this hour. Because again, I can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't control other people's thoughts or responses to it. All I
Mm-hmm.
can control is my own output and just see what happens. So like I said, I've been in the workforce now for how long? 42 years.
That's an
It's time for
educator.
y'all to figure it out. It's 43 years. So
Mm-hmm.
it's time for y'all to figure it out on your own.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get off
Okay.
line. I thank you so much for coming on to my show. I can't remember the last. I think it's been years since you've been on live
Oh,
with me.
no, last year. I
Was it
was on
last
last
year?
year for something.
Oh, that was for education too.
Last
So
year.
um, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and
hmm
sharing your
Thoughts.
in-depth thoughts that were very detailed and came from a place of knowledge. So I appreciate you sharing with us, especially, you're very knowledgeable about government and how it works.
hmm
So I will talk to you later. Don't get off. I'm just going to go ahead and end the YouTube. So I hope the people out who watch this, I hope that you learned something, because I learned a lot. So
hmm
I hope that you learned something, and check in on your family. That's what I gotta say. Check, because my family, we all have been checking on each other, make sure and everybody's all right. So I think for me, it starts with your family. So I strongly suggest checking on each other. And so we're gonna go ahead and end.
Okay.
So goodbye, everybody. Be safe out there, because I witnessed some stuff at the Walmart parking lot. People trying to fight on edge. Be safe out there. Talk to you later. Bye bye.